For more than 2 centuries, Lynchburg has been a destination for people looking for a great place to live, work, and raise a family. A city whose history, culture, and citizens combine to create a quality of life that's difficult to find anywhere else. It's that quality that has convinced people from a wide variety of cultural, religious, and racial backgrounds to call the Hill City home. But the same things that make Lynchburg such a diverse city can also lead to friction as we address issues like housing, employment, and public safety. Disputes in these areas too often break down along lines of black versus white, old versus young, rich versus poor, pitting one group of citizens against another. Racism and poor race relations stand in the way of making Lynchburg a better place for everyone to live. But bringing about change will require having an open and honest dialogue where everyone has an equal chance for their voice to be heard. That has led to the creation of the Lynchburg Community Dialogue on Race and Racism.
When you tend to discuss issues in sound bites or through the newspapers, I don't think it's very productive. And so I was looking for a mechanism that groups of regional people could sit down around a table and in an environment that they could have open dialogue and honest dialogue and actually try to struggle with some of these issues. They're not easy issues, and so we thought, it'd be a good thing to do.
Right, because it does take, it is...
That's where a process called study circles can help. Study circles are small groups of people from many different backgrounds who commit to meeting once a week for 6 weeks to talk about issues in their community.
Sure to explain that you respect their feelings and are trying to help all members of the group understand. Remind people that no one can know exactly what it feels like to be in another person's shoes.
Trained facilitators lead these discussions by using a tested set of principles and tools to set guidelines that encourage everyone to speak openly and honestly about the issues. In Lynchburg, the Study Circles program is already underway. About 60 people took part in a pilot program last fall that gave them and their facilitators a better understanding of how the process works.
I think it's a great opportunity that has brought people together to talk about differences and to talk about what we have in common, but also how we're different and how we can appreciate each other's differences too.
After first getting to know each other, many participants found it easy to open up to the group without fear of repercussion or criticism.
It started off a little slow, but then as the group got to know each other a little better and we learned about each other, then the groups went pretty well. I think each individual person brought their own individual talents to the group, and that's what made our group so successful.
One of the most important things that absolutely has to happen is that you have to have individuals who want to participate in this process. They're willing to say the things that are taboo. They're willing to say the things that hurt. They're willing to disclose those issues that actually affect us, but no one wants to take responsibility for. No one wants to talk about them. No one wants to take the time to make a difference.
Rather, you keep coming back for at least 6 consecutive weeks. And during that process, you invariably establish a relationship with everyone else. And once that relationship is established and people get to know each other, and a certain degree of trust is created. And also people realize that everybody would like to see resolution to a problem.
And I think if nothing comes out of this, a lot of people are going to have their awareness raised. We're bringing people together who under normal circumstances wouldn't spend this amount of time together talking about this issue, talking about their life experience. And from what I've heard from the pilots, that in itself has been a very deep experience for many people.
The pilot circle showed us that if we're going to break down the barriers that prevent us from having an honest discussion on race, we need to be ready to listen to people with a wide variety of backgrounds, experiences, and opinions. Once that foundation of trust and respect is established, solutions can be reached, and the pilot groups came up with close to 150 ideas about how we can improve race relations in our city.
This idea has been born, and we think the second step to keeping it alive is to develop a forum. And within that forum, lots of ideas can be expressed and developed.
The best of those ideas were Action Forum, where everyone could ask questions and then vote on the solutions they felt were most important and had the best chance for success. One thing that everyone agrees on is that the process shouldn't end here and that more people need to be involved.
Because I'm one of those people that doesn't think everything should be left up to everybody else. There's that idea that somebody else ought to be doing this in that community. And as I said earlier, I consider you and me and lots of the others as the somebody else's. So, and I honestly do believe individuals can make a difference.
It sort of emanates into the city that a group of our own residents in the city are trying to do something about a particular problem. And that if we go through the process of communication as a first step, then we can see what else can be done.
Yes, but not everybody trusts everyone.
So we know the process works when enough people agree to make the commitment to come together and find some common ground and come up with some answers to our problems. But the work isn't finished. In order for Lynchburg to benefit from the study circles process, hundreds more people need to get involved. People who are willing to be a part of the solution and want others to be a part as well.
Well, if you want your voice to be heard, you need to get involved in the study circles, because a lot of times we just sit back and talk about change, but now you have a chance. You have a chance to come in and get something done and for your voice to be heard.
That circle is actually a very small community of people with specific ideas and specific aspirations trying to do something. And you think that, well, if a small group of people can do that, a large group of people can do it as well.
Can 6 weeks of meetings end our problems with race and racism? No, but they will help build the relationships necessary to identify the solutions and turn them into action in reality. But it's not possible without your help. Sign up, recruit a friend or a neighbor, encourage them to take part in a process that can be very rewarding for both you and your community.
I doubt that there's anybody that's been involved in the pilot study circles that wouldn't come out saying it's personally rewarding, you feel like you know you're making a difference, and not to sound like such a goody-goody, but I think that's where it's going to happen in the community.
This falls in the category of one of the best experiences of my life. I do not regret it. I'm committed, and it does require sacrifice. It requires time, it requires personal effort, it requires me sharing my spirit, it requires the person to be able to share some real honest, candid things. But I love Lynchburg, and I think that if there's anything I can do to improve Lynchburg, I'm in.